entire career so far has been powered by Mercedes engines, and now he gets the Ferrari engine and the new Ferrari at his disposal. Not at full power, obviously, at the moment.
It's not fair to judge him yet. That one line from Toto Wolff didn't sound explosive at first, but in Formula One, tone is everything. And when it comes from a man like Wolff, every word is loaded with meaning. The media called it a defence, but for those who understand the sport's politics, it was something far more powerful. A public shot aimed straight at Ferrari's leadership. Toto didn't need to mention names. He didn't need to raise his voice. All he had to do was remind the world that adaptation takes time, and that Lewis Hamilton, even now in red, deserves that time without being judged like an outsider under trial. Because the truth is, Wolff sees what's happening. He hears the silence from Ferrari. He sees the way every result is picked apart, how every radio message from Hamilton becomes a headline. And so he spoke, not as a rival, but as someone who knows exactly how the system works. Wolff's message was simple, but sharp. If Ferrari thinks they can get the best out of Hamilton by putting him under pressure, they've already lost the plot. What makes this even more striking is that Wolff didn't have to say anything at all. Hamilton no longer drives for Mercedes. Toto isn't obligated to defend him. But he did it anyway. That's what made the message hit so hard. It wasn't just about racing, it was about respect, legacy, and the way a team should treat a 7-time world champion. Mercedes may have lost Hamilton to Ferrari, but they haven't abandoned what he stands for. They still protect his name, his record, and most of all, his value as a leader. That's loyalty. That's culture. And that's exactly what Ferrari's missing right now. So when Wolff said, "It's not fair," he wasn't just talking about patience, he was talking about principles. And by doing it so publicly, he forced Ferrari into a corner. Because now the question is louder than ever. If Toto Wolff can still support Hamilton, what's stopping Ferrari? And that pressure Wolff spoke about? It isn't just something imagined, it's very real inside Ferrari. While Charles Leclerc keeps stacking up podiums, Lewis Hamilton has just one sprint race win to his name. And even then, when Hamilton finally delivered in China, the reaction from Ferrari was silence. No big praise, no strong public support, just quiet nods, as if they were waiting for him to fail again. That silence said more than any press release ever could. Because behind closed doors, the comparisons are non-stop. They might not say it out loud, but everyone at Maranello is measuring Hamilton against Leclerc. Every podium Leclerc earns becomes Hamilton's silent judgment. It's like Hamilton is being tested, not just for results, but for whether he truly belongs. Leclerc is the golden boy, the driver Ferrari built around. He knows the car, the team, the culture. Hamilton? He's still learning the system, adjusting to new engineers, a new language of feedback, and a team that doesn't quite know how to trust him yet. And that's where the double standard creeps in. Leclerc is allowed to stumble without criticism. He's their own. But when Hamilton finishes behind, the whispers start. Is he past his prime? Is he still worth it? The pressure isn't just on the track. It's baked into every meeting, every strategy call, every headline. This isn't just about racing anymore. It's about control, reputation, and politics. Ferrari isn't just asking Hamilton to perform. They're making him prove he belongs. Every single weekend. And that's the storm Wolff saw coming. Because he knows what happens when a driver is put under the microscope without support. It doesn't build champions, it breaks them. And that's exactly where the difference between Mercedes and Ferrari becomes impossible to ignore. At Mercedes, Kimi Antonelli, just a rookie, is given room to grow. He makes mistakes, has tough weekends, but the team shields him. They protect his confidence. They talk about his future, not just his results. That's how champions are built. Quiet support, patient leadership, belief over blame. Now, look at Ferrari. Instead of nurturing Hamilton, they analyse him like a case study. Every race becomes a test. Every misstep is a mark against him. It's like he's not allowed to be human. The same patience Antonelli gets as a rising star. Hamilton doesn't get that, even with 7 world titles behind his name. That's not just unfair, it's a completely different philosophy. One team builds trust over time, The other team seems to question it at every turn. And Toto Wolff? He sees the difference because he helped create it. He was the one who shaped Mercedes into a place where drivers feel safe to push boundaries without fear of blame. It's the culture Hamilton helped build. And now, ironically, he's missing that exact support at Ferrari. At Mercedes, Hamilton's legacy is protected. At Ferrari, it feels like it's constantly on trial. And the message Toto just sent? It wasn't just for the media. It was a direct reminder to Ferrari. This is not how you treat a driver if you want him to lead your team. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because Toto Wolff's message wasn't just about protecting Hamilton. It was a strategy. A quiet, sharp move in the world of F1 mind games. Wolff has been in this game for a long time. He understands how Ferrari's internal politics work, the pressure, the egos, the fragile trust between drivers and leadership. So when he spoke out, it wasn't just kindness or loyalty. It was calculated. He stirred the pot on purpose, forcing Ferrari to respond. Suddenly, they couldn't keep ignoring the situation. They couldn't stay silent without looking guilty. And that's exactly what Wolff wanted, because he knows what happens when a team lets a champion feel isolated. He's seen how quickly things fall apart when a driver stops feeling trusted. That's why he stepped in, not just to defend Hamilton's name, but to shift the pressure. If Ferrari won't speak up for their own driver, Wolff will, knowing it'll force headlines, questions, maybe even panic behind those red garage doors. That's the genius of Toto Wolff's strategy. While Ferrari stays tangled in their internal pressure, Wolff plays the long game. And now, with just a few quiet words, he's changed the entire conversation. And if that sounds familiar, it's because it is. Hamilton isn't the first champion to walk this path at Ferrari. We've seen this movie before. Different drivers, same ending. Fernando Alonso came to Ferrari full of hope, believing he could bring them back to glory. But behind the scenes, internal politics and resistance to change slowly pushed him out. The story was the same with Sebastian Vettel. He started strong, even fought for titles. But when things got tough, instead of backing him, Ferrari pulled away. The support dried up, the pressure grew, and in the end, he left not just defeated, but drained. Even Michael Schumacher, in his early days at Ferrari, faced that same wall of resistance. The only difference? He had time, he had full backing. Ferrari let him rebuild the team from the ground up, and that's why he succeeded. But today's Ferrari doesn't work like that anymore. They want quick results, instant success. And that's the trap Hamilton is in now. It starts with big promises, then comes the quiet resistance. Whispers in the garage, doubts in the boardroom, a few bad races, and suddenly the support starts slipping away. The pattern repeats. Excitement, then politics, then disappointment. That's the danger Toto Wolff is warning about. Because without change, without trust, history will just repeat itself. Again. And this time, it could cost Ferrari the very thing they were hoping Hamilton would bring. A return to greatness. And that's what makes the next few races so important. Because this summer stretch isn't just about points, it's about power. What happens now could shape the rest of the season, and maybe even the future of Ferrari itself. These next Grand Prix weekends aren't just battles on the track. They're tests of loyalty, strategy, and leadership. Every decision Ferrari makes, every pit call, every upgrade, every word in the media will send a message, not just to the fans, but to Hamilton himself. If they continue to treat him like a visitor instead of a leader, things could start to crack from the inside. And once that trust is broken, it's almost impossible to fix. We've seen it before, when a team loses belief in a driver, or worse, when a driver stops believing in the team, the results always suffer. The 2025 summer races aren't just a mid-season run. They're Ferrari's chance to prove they're serious about backing Lewis, because if they hesitate now, they don't just risk losing races. They risk losing the one man who could turn their entire future around. And Lewis? He's watching. He's listening. He knows what's at stake. And if Ferrari doesn't step up, he'll step ahead, without them. And now, everything circles back to that quiet, calculated message from Toto Wolff. It wasn't just a defense of Lewis Hamilton, it was a mirror held up to Ferrari, a reminder of what they've done before, a warning of what they might do again. Wolff didn't just speak to the media, he spoke to Ferrari's leadership, to the fans, and to the entire F1 world. And the question he left behind still hangs in the air. Will Ferrari finally support their 7-time world champion? Or are they about to repeat the same old cycle that's cost them greatness time and time again? That's where you come in. What do you think? Was Toto Wolff protecting Hamilton, or was he exposing Ferrari's deep-rooted issues? Type in the comments. I stand with Lewis if you believe Ferrari should back him completely and stop the pattern that has held them back for years. This isn't just a story about racing, it's the heart of the F1 2025 drama. The Lewis Hamilton story isn't over, not even close. So if you want to follow every twist, every strategy move, and every behind-the-scenes battle, make sure to subscribe to this F1 YouTube channel. Because Ferrari versus Hamilton isn't just a rivalry, it's a turning point. And you won't want to miss what happens next.